Jezebel in the church of God. The name Jezebel, for a serious Christian, when you hear Jezebel, you know that the alarm bells should start ringing in you that something is wrong somewhere. Then when you now hear Jezebel in the church, of course, you know that that's a warning sign. Tell you that something is wrong in that church for Jezebel to be in the church. But now, ordinarily, that should not be the case. You know, I researched the name Jezebel and discovered that the name Jezebel actually means chaste. That is pure. So when they say Jezebel in the church, we should be excited. Is that also? Because it means chastity in the church, purity in the church. But that's not the case. Why? Because of the person that personifies that name. When did we first encounter, in fact, there are only two Jezebels in the Bible. This one we are reading of, and the one in the Old Testament. So let's go to the Old Testament. 1 Kings chapter 16. Let's do some review on this person that has spoiled the name Jezebel. Because anytime we look at it, we don't look at the original meaning of Jezebel. In fact, I don't know of any parent that will do a naming ceremony and invite a pastor and say, Pastor, the name of this child is Jezebel. And the pastor will say, never. He said, but Pastor, the name means chaste. The name means pure. I said, Pastor will say, I know. But we're not calling this child Jezebel. We are going to give her another name. You can call her chastity if you want to call her, but not Jezebel. What? Because of this person. I want to look at this person. 1 Kings chapter 16, verse 31 to 33. 1 Kings 16. 1 Kings 16, 31 to 33. And it came to pass, as though it had been a trivial thing for him, he's talking about Ahab, to walk in the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat. He took as wife Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians, and he went and served Baal and worshipped him. Then he set up an altar for Baal in the temple of Baal, which he had built in Samaria. And Ahab made a wooden image. Now note what we're about to read now. Ahab did more to provoke the Lord God of Israel to anger than all the kings who were before him. Let's go back to verse 31. It says, and it came to pass, as though it had been a trivial thing for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat. What does that say now? As though it's not a bad enough thing to be found to be walking in the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat. He now added sin to sin by then doing what? Taking as wife Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians. And then he went and served Baal and worshipped him. Now, let's understand one thing. Jezebel was a princess in her own right, albeit a pagan princess. But she was a princess in her own right, who married the king of Ahab, or the king of Israel, Ahab. Ahab was an evil man on his own. Now he now comes to marry Jezebel. And we are going to see why this is an important issue for God. It's not everybody that is evil who marries a wife who continues to become evil, or whose evil rubs off on the wife. For example, the Bible talks of what's his name? Is it Nabal, who married Abigail. Nabal was considered a fool. He died a fool, but his wife was not a fool. He had a wise wife. In fact, that Nabal was preserved only by the wisdom of his wife. He would have died long ago. So the fact that a man is evil does not mean that he must marry an evil woman. You can marry a righteous woman and allow the righteousness of the man to rub off on you. After the Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians chapter 7 or so, it's talking about husbands and wives. I'm talking about one spouse not leaving the other. If you were married as unbelievers and now one of you has become a believer, don't leave the other. He said, how do you know, you wife or you husband, that through you will not bring salvation to your husband or your wife, as the case may be, and to your children. That through you, you will not be sanctified. How do you know? That through you. So the fact that you are saved, even though you were married as unbelievers, does not mean that you should now divorce your wife. So it means that a bad husband who is married to a righteous woman can change. But in this particular case, it was like saying jumping from fry pan into fire. That was the case of Ahab. So Ahab on his own was bad. He was evil on his own. But when Jezebel came into his life, his evil multiplied. Look at 1 Kings chapter 21 verse 25. This will sound a note of warning to brothers who want to get married, even sisters who are eager to get married. I pray to God. He says, verse 25, but there was no one like Ahab who sold himself to wickedness. Do you know what that means? He was enslaved to wickedness. And he did it himself. He sold himself to wickedness. In the sight of the Lord. Why? Because Jezebel, his wife, stirred him up. That's the woman demanded. That is Jezebel we're talking about. A woman that influences her husband to do wickedness. We are going to encounter some of the wicked things that she did. In 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 4 and 13, and chapter 19, verse 1 and 2, you will read there that Jezebel was a persecutor of the true prophets of God. She was a murderer of the prophets of God, of the servants of God. If you look at what we read in Revelation, you will see that that's what this other Jezebel was doing. She was actually killing the servants of God by leading them to idolatry and sexual immorality. Death is a separation, and spiritual death is a separation from God. So what Jezebel does is to separate people from God, to kill the prophets of God. In this instance, is to separate them from God. But here, physically speaking, she was murdering them. 1 Kings chapter 18 verse 4. 1 Kings 18 verse 4. Note verse 13 also. And then 1 Kings 19, 1 and 2. In 1 Kings 19, 1 and 2, remember that was where Elijah had after Elijah had killed the prophets of Baal. And Ahab went to tell Jezebel the exploit of Elijah. Jezebel sent a message to Elijah. He said, let the gods do to me, and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. So what did Elijah do? Elijah ran. He knew who he was dealing with. And this is not somebody to just be taken lightly. And the reason why Jezebel is interested in killing the prophets of God is to reduce them, if not eliminate them, and introduce false prophets all over the place. That's our goal. So you will read in the Bible in verse 18, 19 of 1 Kings 18, verse 19 of 1 Kings 18, that the false prophets or the prophets of Baal were eating at the table of Jezebel. She was the one sustaining them. She was their master, if you want. She was providing for them, feeding them, sustaining them, making sure that they continue to breed in the land, whilst killing the prophets of God. In fact, the verses that we read, the verse 4 and verse 13, that was the account of, what's his name now? Obadiah, who said he was protecting these servants of God when Jezebel was persecuting and killing them. He was the one keeping them and feeding them. So while Jezebel was trying to diminish the number, there was somebody who was trying to at least maintain their numbers. And while Jezebel was sustaining the false prophet, there was this man who was sustaining the prophets of God. So this is Jezebel we're talking about. A murderer of prophets. A sustainer of false prophets. In 1 Kings 21, from verse 1 forward. We're not going to read it. It's the story of Naboth. Naboth was an Israelite, a Jezreelite indeed, who had land that was abutting the palace. And Ahab wanted that land. But Naboth told Ahab, look, it is family land. I can't sell it. According to the law of God, I can't sell family land. There's no amount, don't worry, there's no amount of money you're going to give me. I can't sell it. So Ahab was sullen, went to the palace, looking dejected, because he wanted the land. When the wife, Jezebel, saw him, like, said, my king, what is going on? He said, is it not Naboth? I've been begging him to sell me land. He says he can't sell it because it's not land. I told him, it's near to the palace. He will have enabled me to expand the palace and do this and do that. But he wouldn't sell it. Sister said, is that why you are looking at it? I beg, go and eat. Are you not the king? And then she wrote to the elders of the place where Naboth lives. And said, I want you guys to arrange a feast. Invite Naboth. And then arrange for some despicable people to come and testify against Naboth that he committed sacrilege against God. And then when they have given the testimony, stone him to death. The elders cooperated with Jezebel. They actually called the feast. They put Naboth in a high place. Naboth thought this was a fantastic feast. He was enjoying himself. When some men arose and said, why are you putting him there? He's a wicked man. He did this, he did that. He sinned against God. They just grabbed stone. There and then he was judged. They grabbed stone and killed him. After Naboth was dead, they sent word to Jezebel. It is done. Jezebel went to the king. He said, what are you doing? Go and claim the land. Because Naboth is dead. And the stupid king did not ask, how did Naboth die? He just went ran. We are like Ahab. When we have Jezebels as prophetesses. Say, go in and claim the land, it is yours. What has happened? The landlord has died. Who killed the landlord? That's why some people are weary to give church land or give church property to use. They don't want to take money. But the church will enter the property and begin to pray that the landlord should enter a problem that will make him sell that land. How can you do that? How can that be the word of God? How is that God? Please, let somebody tell me. So the man's kindness, we are now repaying it with evil. Let me tell you, by the way, God does not answer those kind of prayers. So if it were ever answered, it is Satan telling you where you belong. Jezebel was evil and wicked. She believed you should get anything you want to get. It doesn't matter how you get it. Just get it. We have Christians who are following in his footsteps of Jezebel's lifestyle or doctrine or teaching. In 2 Kings chapter 9 verse 30, 2 Kings 9:30, coupling with what we have just said about Naboth, you will discover that Jezebel was a master manipulator and a seductress. In 2 Kings chapter 9, verse 30, the Bible says, now when Jehu had come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it. This is after Jehu had began to kill people, left, right, and center, killed even the king also. That Jezebel saw. Jezebel heard of it, and she put paint on her eyes, made up, and adorned her head, and looked through a window. Why do you think she was doing that? To seduce Jehu. She's a master manipulator. I use the word master manipulator because a true manipulator does not allow you to know that what is happening is manipulation. For example, in Genesis chapter 3, when Eve was tempted, let me ask a question. Who tempted Eve, Satan or the snake? I'm asking a question now. Who tempted Eve, Satan or the snake? Satan. Not the serpent. But the serpent was a willing tool. The Bible says the serpent was subtle, was like a clever, it was crafty, so he was able to use it. When there is craft in you, you become a vessel that Satan can readily use. Satan is a master manipulator. You will never see him. You never know that he's the one doing it, but he's the one doing it. He will stay behind the scenes and be doing what he wants to do. Every time you read about the account, only God could not be fooled. That's why we have it in the Bible. But you read about what Ahab did, only God could not be fooled that this is Jezebel's work. The day Ahab went to claim the land of Naboth, God sent Elijah to go to him and said, "You've come to claim the land of Naboth." You see, the way Naboth died, yours will be worse. They will be picking your body all over the place because animals, dogs will come and eat it. The same will happen to Jezebel, your wife, because you have gone to kill Naboth. You know, sometimes God is just, I don't know how to put it, God is just awesome. He sense there's a reverential fear that should come into you when you read some things about God. Why did God not stop Naboth from being stoned? Did anybody bother to ask? He followed his hand and allowed it to happen. He was allowing the cup of Ahab to be full, to be filled more and more. That's why I always tell people, you say you are a Christian, but you are dipping your hands into iniquity. The day a demon will come and attack, they will kill you. And that demon may repent and go to heaven. You do know that after God had declared to Naboth through Elijah that Naboth was going to suffer death and so on and so forth, the Bible says that Ahab humbled himself greatly. The Ahab that the Bible said was evil and wicked, he humbled himself. And God said to Elijah, "Oh, have you seen Ahab, my servant, how he has humbled himself?" That day, the day I read that, and I knew that indeed, if you are humble, it's like God will just fall in love with you. Even if you were wicked the next day before, but suddenly you humble yourself, that's it. The same thing with Manasseh. Because of Manasseh, God said he was going to send Judah to exile, and he actually sent them to exile. Manasseh was taken into exile himself. But while in exile, Manasseh humbled himself greatly. God said, "Okay, return him back." So I discovered one thing about God. Humility, you have gotten God to for penny. But you see, you cannot fake humility. It's either it is there, and God knows that. So, Jezebel was manipulating things. She painted her face. That's why they always warn our sisters in church, stop making up. Don't be like Jezebel. Because it is what Satan sees and says, this is a good candidate. So this is like my other candidate, Jezebel, who's no longer here. And that's why he uses them. Very easy to use them. You dress skimpily, you put on makeup, you are sensual. You say, I'm trying to be okay, I'm trying to dress nicely. You are being used by Satan. It's as simple as that. Today, we don't even know who a woman is anymore. At least in Nigeria, we don't know them anymore. They are wearing wig. They are wearing fake eyelashes. I hear that even backside now is fake. All over the body of a woman is fake. The nails are fake. I also hear now that men too, they do the same thing. May the Lord have mercy on us. So we're looking at a master manipulator. But you know, one of the greatest manipulations of Jezebel is to be found when the Bible doesn't say that she did it, but we know that she was there. In 2 Chronicles chapter 18, verse 1, Jehoshaphat had riches and honor in abundance. So Joshua was a rich man. He had honor, he had riches in abundance. The Bible says, and by marriage, he allied himself with Ahab. I think the King James says, he had affinity with Ahab. What does that mean? His son married Ahab's daughter. Who is Ahab's daughter? Jezebel's daughter. Jezebel must have been manipulating the situation behind the scene. Now we have Israel in our grasp. Let's stretch our hands and take over Judah as well. The manipulation of Jezebel is to send her daughters into ministries, into marriages, and take over what God would have, not what God would have, the heritage of God. Either the man or the ministry. There are many young brothers who don't even know that God wants to use them. They are not spiritual. They are immature. They're just sitting in church. They are not reading their Bibles. When they want to marry, they just stretch their hand and choose. They choose the girl with curves. They choose the girl with nice makeup. They choose the girl who can wriggle herself through anything. They don't know that they have married Jezebel. When it is time for ministry, they can't do it. Because Jezebel is at work to make sure that they don't do it. That's why you will hear, I married you as a brother in the church. I didn't marry a pastor. And there's no way you're going to be a pastor. Not on my life are you going to be a pastor. Because when I married you, I married a bobo. I didn't marry a minister of the gospel. I'm sure you've heard stories like that. Master manipulation. In fact, you remember that Peter, after Peter had said that Jesus was the Son of the living God, the Savior of the world, Satan entered in. When Jesus was talking about going to the cross, said, "Far be from you. Why would you be weakening our faith and telling us, stop saying those things?" The Bible says he called him aside and rebuked him. What could have given Peter the temerity to rebuke the Lord, his own Lord, if not for Satan that had entered him? That's why the Lord Jesus said, "Get thee behind me." Satan is a master manipulator, but God sees it. God knows. In 2 Kings chapter 8, verse 18. 2 Kings chapter 8, verse 18. I'm trying to get you to understand the depth of Jezebel. If you are weary of Jezebel, be weary of her daughters. Because what is in Jezebel is even worse in her daughters. In 2 Kings chapter 8, verse 18, the Bible talks about Jehoshaphat's son, Jehoram, who had taken over from Jehoshaphat after Jehoshaphat had died. In verse 8 it says, "And he, that is Jehoram, walked in the way of the kings of Israel." Not even any king of Judah. He was a king in Judah, but he walked in the ways of the king of Israel, just as the house of Ahab had done. For the daughter of Ahab was his wife. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord. Do you see the influence of a wife? You are going to see more. This woman that Jehoshaphat went and got his son to marry almost ruined the heritage of God. 2 Chronicles chapter 21, verse 1 to 6. 2 Chronicles 21, 1 to 6. And Jehoshaphat rested with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. Then Jehoram, his son, reigned in his place. He had brothers, the sons of Jehoshaphat, that is his father's children, Azariah, Jehiel, Zechariah, Azariah, Michael, and Shephatiah. All these were the sons of Jehoshaphat, king of Israel. Their father gave them great gifts of silver and gold and precious things with fortified cities in Judah. But he gave the kingdom to Jehoram because he was the firstborn. Now look at verse 4. Now when Jehoram was established over the kingdom of his father, he strengthened himself and killed all his brothers with the sword, and also others of the princes of Israel. So whilst Jezebel was busy killing the prophets, what was Jezebel's daughter doing? Killing the princes. would have motivated him to do it? But the wife a man. How would a man kill his brothers? Firstborn would kill the brothers. Why? You will have the kingdom. The brothers are not contending with you. Your father gave them their silver, their gold, and their own small territory, but gave you the entire kingdom. So you rule over them. Went and killed them. Verse 5. Jehoram was 32 years old when he became king, and he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem. And he walked in the way of the kings of Israel, just as the house of Ahab had done. For he had the daughter of Ahab as a wife, and he did evil in the sight of the Lord. Reiterating that. In 2 Kings chapter 11, verse 1 to 2, I want to show you so that you will know when we talk of Jezebel, how to avoid that. This one, at the pain of death, avoid her. Better to die than to have anything to do with Jezebel. Verse 1 and 2, 2 Kings chapter 11. When Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, this is Jezebel's daughter, who had now had a son. Her son went to Israel to see her cousin, to see his cousin, the king. And then he was killed during Jehu's campaign. So it said when she saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the royal heirs. Who are the royal heirs now? Her grandchildren. What do we call such a woman in Nigeria? We say she's a witch. Is that not what? But Jehosheba, the daughter of King Joram, sister of Ahaziah, took Joash, the son of Ahaziah, and stole him away from among the king's sons who were being murdered. And they hid him and his nurse in the bedroom from Athaliah, so that he was not killed. There must have been so many, and didn't bother counting, just killed them. That's how she missed that one. And that one was saved by his aunt, who was married to a priest, the high priest in the land. That's what saved. Because the influence of God was on that sister. So let me say this to many of you who have brothers and sisters who are ungodly, but you are godly. You now allow your brothers and sisters who are ungodly to influence you. Something's wrong with your Christianity. You must be the one influencing them, and if you can't influence them, they shouldn't influence you. In 2 Chronicles chapter 22, verse 10 to 12, it's the same thing. I just put those two scriptures so you can read them from Chronicles and from Kings. So, Jezebel was a master manipulator, a seductress. Her daughter was something else. Her daughter was far worse than that. You have heard of evil begetting evil. And the one that is begotten is worse than the one that begot.